Namaste and greetings. I, Swati Solanki, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav एवं नीति अनुसंधान संस्थान, Nai Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all for this memoriam remembering Kamla Bhasin, a champion for equity, equality, and human rights. This talk is being organized by IMPRI, Center for Human Dignity and Development. The moderator for our today's discussion is Professor Vibhuti Patel. Ma'am is visiting professor at IMPRI, who is also eminent gender economist and feminist, former professor at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Among the panelists, we have Professor Deepali, who is coordinator at Sahiyar, Vadodara. We also have Mumtaz Shaikh. Ma'am is manager at Women's Empowerment Program, CORO India, Mumbai. Professor Jyoti Seth, head and professor, retired, the Department of Sociology, PG Government College for Girls, Sector 42, Chandigarh. We have Dr. Lata Pratibha Madhukar. Ma'am is convener at Bahujan Sanvad Social Network and Bahujan Mahila, Samvad, Pune. We also have Yagna Parmar, who is project director at Vacha, Mumbai. We have Shrimoy Kundu, who is author and columnist at Community Founder at Status Single. Farida Akhtar, who is executive director, UBINIC, and president Nari Granth Prabartana. And Shireen Pihak, who is founder member, Nari Poco, Bangladesh. Now, I welcome you all, and I would like to hand over to Professor Vibhuti Patel, who is moderator for today's discussion.
So good afternoon, friends. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Arjun Kumar, Dr. Seema Mehta, Dr. Swati Solanki, and Anshula for facilitating today's memorial meeting and doing a lot of hard work for curtain raiser. And I would like to greet my co-panelists, the veteran feminists from Bangladesh, Shireen Haq, then Farida Akhtar, my other co-traveler in the women's movement, Lata Pratibha Madhukar, Professor Jyoti Seth, Shimoy Kundu, and feminist activist of the next generation, Professor Deepali Ghelani, Mumtaz Shaikh, and Yagna Parmar. We all know that what kind of loss, that sense of loss that we are all feeling with passing away of Kamla ji. My association with Kamla dates back to 1980 with the anti-rape movement. In 1982, for 15 days, we worked day and night together for a feminist cultural workshop called Kriti in Delhi, Arvind Ashram. In 1985, pre-conference deliberations for the Nairobi conference, and also during the decade of International Women's Decade, lot of conferences, workshops, seminars, deliberations we had together. In 1986, when Kamla launched Pacific and Asian Women's Forum, and 16 resource kits covering 42 Asia Pacific countries were to be made, I was given responsibility of providing documentation from India. In 1986, I also translated several of poems, especially children's poem, Dammakdam. We also did a music ballet in Gujarati, which was telecast on Doordarshan. In 1990, the Asian Dialogue on Declining Sex Ratio by the UNFPA for 84 Asia and Middle Asian and South Asian countries was organized. At that time, Kamla ji invited me. We were together at that time. And Bakula Bakaswala, who has translated most of Kamla's poems into Gujarati. So I think that is also one mission that brought us together. She used to organize Sangat training programs. I have taken part in several of this. Kamla ji was a member of Indian Association for Women's Studies, and both Farida Akhtar ji and Shireen Haq, both of them are also very active as a friends of Indian Association of Women's Movement. All other members are also institutional member and life members of IWS. Kamla gave Savitribai Phule oration at College of Social Work this year on 3rd January. And in May, we invited her as a keynote speaker for the International Conference on Gender Implications of COVID-19 pandemic. So Her passing has caused an irreparable loss to the feminist movement and also 1 billion rising movement in Asia. Kamla Di, as she was popularly known, lives in her songs, verses, stories, speeches, publications in multiple languages, and most importantly, in our hearts and minds. Kamla beautifully played with words. She coined so many new terms. She would call email as a she-mail and hero as a shero. She replaced the slogan of Halla Bol, which was extremely popular in the social movements of 70s and 80s. She replaced it with the feminist sloganeering of Azadi. So instead of saying that attack, she said we want to be liberated from all the evils, whether it was a dowry or gender-based violence or corruption or intolerance. She hugged everybody, lived a life of a feminist slogan, personal is political and political is personal. Kamla was a multifaceted persona, writer, lyricist, singer, mentor, facilitator, sloganeer, and also communicator, excellent communicator. Her mischievous humor, her vitality, her enthusiasm were unique and they were also infectious. At an international meet on women and health in 2005, Kamla started her plenary lecture with a statement, and I think both Shirinji and Paridaji, they will bear with me, that she said that there was a twinkle in Kamla's eyes and mischievous smile on her face. And she said that I don't use PowerPoint, I am a PowerPoint. So that was the confidence with which she spoke. Participants from more than 65 countries were in splits of laughter, and Kamla mesmerized her audience with her witty jokes, along with a very strong dance, theoretical and political content. One of her most popular quotable quote against copyright rules, which most of the elite feminists use, was that no copyright but the right to copy. And she deprivatized her intellectual and creative resources to build the women's movement in Asia. So anything you want from Kamla, you would easily get it. Even on the social media, all her works are downloadable, freely downloadable. Thousands of scholars, activists, young adults with non-English background who were ridiculed in the elite atmosphere of university as a Varnax got their understanding of feminism by studying Kamla Bhasin's booklets of feminism, patriarchy, gender-based violence, so on and so forth. Kamla made discourses on women's rights accessible to first-generation learners. She became their window or a door or a pathway to feminist worldview. Ideologically heavy concepts were converted by Kamla into easily understandable concepts without any dilution of its meaning. And that's why we see that all her publications are extremely popular in the community-based organizations. And today also we have three representatives of three such community-based organizations. Kamla Bhasin was a founder of Jagori, Pacific and Asia Forum between 85 and 95. Jagori is South Asia Women's Network, which is still very, very active, Aurat Foundation, and played pivotal role in forging solidarity among feminist movements across South Asian countries. She actively supported Indian Association for Women's Studies rights from its inception and was also General Secretary of IIWS for Jaipur Conference and attended all IIWS national conferences. In the last conference, I think we all remember, in January 2020, she really electrified the plenary and the hall by her very forceful slogans, especially for the constitutional morality. In the last conference of at a National Law University in Delhi, Kamla's speech brought to the fore heroism of women's rights movements and raised slogans for protecting Constitution of India, and her most popular slogan, Azadi, raised in a spirited style, echoed the conference hall and lifted everybody's spirit. In the month of May 21, we had invited her as a chief guest for the conference, but she could not. And that is the first time we got to know that she had a health problem. First time one heard Kamla in a melancholic tone that she was talking. Otherwise, we had always seen her smiling, and she would make every other person around her also smile and cheerful and make them cheerful. So on a personal note, my mother was a great fan of Kamla. She was so enchanted by Kamla's deconstruction of concept of patriarchy in such a palatable manner in a TV serial Satyamev Jayate, that my mother at the age of 75 would discuss with her peers the concept of patriarchy. So today we have with us extremely grounded and veteran feminists with us. First of all, I would like to ask our sister from Bangladesh, Shireen Haq, that you have been active shaper of women's movement in Bangladesh and have also fostered solidarity for the social movements and women's rights movements in South Asia. Under what geopolitical context that you first met Kamla, and how did it create a whole an environment of a lifelong bonding and working together for the South Asian sisterhood and solidarity? Over to Shirin Appa.
Thank you, Vibhuti. Thank you for actually inviting me to speak in this memorial for our dear Kamla. Ever since the news of her death, I have found myself saying over and over again, she was not just an individual. Kamla was a phenomenon like none other. Wherever she went, she was not just an amazing presence, she was an event all by herself. She had the ability to mesmerize people with her words and with her songs, which were always accompanied by energetic hand gestures, and often she would break into dance. This we all have seen over and over again, and this is what we will remember. When I close my eyes, I can hear her shouting slogans, singing songs, and leading us through the Azadi chant. I first met Kamla. I first set eyes on Kamla at a women's march in Delhi, protesting the Mathura rape case. It must have been 1979. I was visiting my friend Rajni Palriwala. There towards the front of the march was a woman shouting slogans in a strong and passionate voice, uninhibited in body language, and exuding tremendous energy. I was so struck by her from the very beginning. I asked someone, who was she? I learned that her name was Kamla Bhasin. That name, the face with the big smile and the powerful voice became permanently etched in my mind. A year later, I was back in Delhi, and so was my friend Khushi Kabir. Khushi invited me to join her for dinner at Kamla's place in Bhagwan Das Road. I remember meeting Shiva Chachi there that evening. What an amazing ambiance these women created. Just the presence of a group of strong women. I soaked it all in. When I look back at those early meetings with Kamla, those early encounters with her and some of her friends, hearing about that first residential workshop they had held and how moving that experience was, those were some of the inspiration, or as my mother would say, some of the subversive influence resulting in my move away from academia into activism. I was in awe of her connection with grassroots women's work as well. She was an encyclopedia of what was happening in which part of India. And so whenever anyone asked her to recommend a project to visit, she immediately would rattle off at least 15 projects in different parts of India. So a year later, Kamla asked me if I could lead a team of frontline women development workers from Bangladesh on a study tour of women's empowerment initiatives in India. I jumped at the opportunity, and despite all kinds of hiccups during the nearly month-long tour, have not regretted it once. We visited projects in West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. Indeed, it was an eye-opener for me and forged my interest in development and subsequent years of working on my dual interest in women's emancipation and development as a facilitator as a means. In 1983, I had the opportunity of working with Khushi Kabir, Farida, who's here, Farida Akhtar, and Fazila Banu Lili in conducting a 3-day residential workshop for frontline women development workers in Bangladesh. My conversations earlier with Kamla and with Veena Agarwal on that first workshop that they had held influenced the approach we finally adopted in conducting our workshop. We abandoned the usual discussion on how many poor women had benefited from the poultry project or the sewing project or whatever their employer NGOs had been running to instead to focus on the lives of the women development workers themselves. What is it that these women faced? What circumstances in their lives made them opt for such a job, for such a vocation? It turned into a 3-day-long self-reflection and analysis exercise, out of which, interestingly, was born Nari Pakko, the organization that I belong to. Kamla visited Bangladesh frequently as part of her responsibility in FAO and the special program in FAO that she was working with. On her visit soon after this workshop, Khushi and I talked to her about the beginning of Nari Pakko and with great excitement described the proceedings of that first workshop. She went back to Delhi and wrote about it, which none of us expected, but she actually wrote about it at great length. And she used a particular spelling of Nari Pakko, which we have since adopted. The spelling in English is P-O-K-K-H-O for Pakko instead of the Sanskritized Paksha. And that was also a lesson. She said, Shireen, we must not hang on to these traditional spellings. We have to spell in the way it has to be pronounced. So this was our Kamla. Wherever she went, she enabled 1,000 flowers to blossom. Wherever she went, she extended her support for women to come together and form strong unions. This was the beginning of a South Asian solidarity, a South Asian relationship. She challenged all of us to rise above our national identities and become South Asian. Of course, she was definitely the quintessential South Asian. I don't think any of us can match, have been able to achieve what she was in belief and in practice and in her everyday practice. Long before I had met her or gotten to know Kamla, my husband Zafrullah Chaudhry knew her. They had met in the early 70s and shared a dream of radical change across South Asia. Theirs was a special generation of activists who continued to dream. 2 weeks before Kamla died, they exchanged messages, which made the rest of us cry. Theirs was a mutual admiration society and one of unconditional love. Kamla's insistence to always speak about equity and equality echoed with us who have long insisted that the feminist agenda must address both. Our work on CEDAW had taught us the importance of both, to talk about equity as a means and equality as a goal, and that it was not a question of one or the other. And this what Kamla was able to explain these concepts in the simplest of language. And she did not speak Bangla fluently, but she understood Bangla and often would break into Bangla. I would marvel at her ability to even explain in Bangla some of these conceptual differences and distinctions. 2 weeks before her death, I had sent her the link to a Bangla song that she loved to sing. Hey Samalo Dhan Ho, Kaste Kodal Chan Ho. This is an old IPTA song by Salil Chaudhry. She always would love to sing it and get up and dance with it. So 2 weeks before, when we knew she was possibly going, but certainly didn't know that it would be so swift, I sent her a link to that song. She wrote back to say how much she loved the song and that she had done a Hindi translation, which I was not aware of. So she was going to try and find it and send it to me, but I think, the pain took over. She was not able to do that. I just want to end by saying my heart was warmed by the knowledge that her friends, her well-wishers had gotten together at her funeral and sung songs. What a beautiful farewell for our Kamla. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen ji. You brought us so many nostalgic memories, and especially in Bangladesh liberation struggle of 1971. In fact, my husband, who is a doctor, he also joined Medico Friend Circle, was formed in 1971 in the border of India and Bangladesh.
I know about that from Zafrullah.
Yeah, and he was a good friend of, he is a good friend of. And also this Salil Chaudhary's song, "Hey Savalo Tango." Yes, we have all sung in so many rallies and demonstrations. It was really, it gives a lot of energy to remember those days, no? And yeah, I would like to now ask Farida Akhtarji, can you just tell us your experiences and your collaborative political work with Kamlaji? Hello. Farida.
Thank you, Vibhuti. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just a little louder if you speak. Yeah.
I just had to change place because the internet connection in that room was not good. So anyway, thank you very much. And it's very sad, but also I'm feeling good to see like Shirin and all of you who knew Kamla so closely. So in a way, we are sharing our grief together. So that's one thing. I just want to refer to one of the, in the Jaguri event on Kamla's memorial, Khadija Faruqi, who was with her, along with all other friends during her last days, she was saying that Kamla wanted to live 2 more days because she planned something which is in her notebook, red notebook, and so she wanted to live 2 more days, So these 2 more days is so symbolic for me. I almost felt like crying at that time. That what would, she could have lived 2 more days. She could have lived 20 more days. She could have lived, 2 more years, So, but we lost her. And also, I think it's a message to many of our friends who are so active in our works, but do not really know that a serious disease is in the body. Kamla was a health conscious person. It was not that she was not at all health conscious. She was doing all yogas and everything, but she died of cancer. So I think today I was remembering Sunila Abhisekera, Shirin and everybody know her, who also died of cancer. And at like 62 years of age in 2013, in September itself, So this morning I was remembering Sunila as well, I want to start by saying, when I was thinking of talking today, that the name Kamla itself is so South Asian. It can be in Pakistan, it can be in Bangladesh, you can find this name in Nepal, in everywhere in South Asia. And it can be the name of a poor person or a rich person in the rural areas or in the urban areas. So some Kamla cut across all, she crossed all boundaries, of race, caste, class, and everyone, religion. So her name was very symbolic in a way, Kamla is Kamla. So, and that's why she is a friend of all, across religion and caste. And recently I was seeing in her Facebook post that every time she was having something, she was having a gamcha around her neck. And gamcha is again a very symbolic cloth, which is for the poor, which can be used by middle class, and it is so much necessary piece of cloth for all of us. And so the way she was wearing on any kind of dress she was wearing, and there is a yellow gamcha on her neck, and I found it very, very symbolic that she was there. So Kamla, by nature, by her, everything, she was South Asian. And every time I met her, I exactly don't remember when I met her, but I want to, as Vibhuti, I told you that I want to talk about something about the issues that Kamla was very much involved in. but many people don't talk about it. It was in 1997, I was at a third interdisciplinary Congress of Women, which was held in Dublin, Ireland. And I was speaking on contraceptive technology in Bangladesh. And of course, I was critical of the coercive population policies and the coercive technologies that were imposed on women. So when I spoke, and in the end, I said that women around the world have fought for reproductive rights, but they fell in the trap of technologies produced by multinational corporations. There is a trend in Western feminist movement to see contraceptives as liberating and necessary for women. They demand modern methods of contraception, which is problematic for Bangladeshi women's point of view, because these are imposed by coercive state-imposed policy by the state, and poor women had no choice but to take it. So I was trying to make my point that the demand of the Western women for birth control is not the same for a poor woman in Bangladesh. But at that time, one US woman stood up after my speech, and she was very angry. In an angry voice, she said, but you know, you have too many people in your country. And as if she was saying that you need population control, no matter what. So as I was going to reply to her, I didn't know that Kamla was also in this conference. And I found Kamla stood up in the middle of the audience and said that, what do you think? Our women breed like rats? Or, you know, and the way she said was in a very sarcastic way, and the way she responded, she made them feel that they were very wrong in the way they responded to me. But she did it in a very theatrical way. So the next morning, there was a lot of people talking in the breakfast table, that one was rude, like I was rude because I was making all these points, and another South Asian was theatrical. And Kamla and I laughed over it, and we had really very good conversation after that. But I really did not know that Kamla would just pick up that point, that this is also among the feminists, we have differences of opinion. And you can see, you know, last few days, I was looking at many of Kamla's videos, and she was talking about feminisms, not feminism only. And she was saying, this is my feminism. So that means, you know, we have to agree that even among feminists, we have differences of positions, differences of stands, and it is quite all right to have that. There's nothing wrong in it. Then I met Kamla. Kamla invited me in many Sangat monthly of meetings in Pakistan, in Mali, in Nepal, in Bangladesh. And you know what, she asked me to speak on biodiversity. She asked me to speak on GMOs. She asked me to speak on all these issues that are not being talked about. So in one of the meetings in Bangladesh, I was talking about tobacco cultivation, which is really harming a lot of food production. And we did not know that the room we were talking about, on the top of that room, there was another meeting going on, which was by British American Tobacco Company. And they were training their staff on tobacco issues. So one young girl who was so, you know, angry about tobacco cultivation, she made a poster and he stood at the lunch break in front of the room. And these men were coming down and looking at it and getting very angry. So Kamla was so happy to see that. So she said that, look, this made our day today, you know, that our young people could take it up. So she visited our village, you know, with the Nayakishi farmers. And, you know, as she used to sing, one of our farmers, Akka's Bhai, she wrote a song saying, Torkari gas lagao shari shari. And Kamla immediately picked up the words that she could and started singing with them. When I was sharing this information that Kamla is no more to my colleagues in Tangai and other places, they all said, Appa, she sang the song of Tarkari Gasla Gaon Shani Shani. So they remembered her so much. I just, would say that we only talk about that she was talking about gender, feminism, and all this thing, but we have to acknowledge that Kamla was not limited to only few issues. She was responding to any issues that mattered to the people, that mattered to our rural people, that mattered to women. And seed was something that she was really, she used to ask me to talk about that. And I would finish, Vibhuti, by saying that we see, again, in YouTube, I was saying that she's talking about gender. But I think gender is not something that she was meaning in terms of only a concept. But gender is something that it has to be grounded. And if we use Kamla now, because now she's no more with us, it's our responsibility, how we take her, move forward, if we NGOize the gender term, I mean, we are all doing NGOs, but I'm saying NGOization is different, because NGOization by doing the donorization and all these things. So I think let's go beyond all this and try to understand what Kamla wanted to do. And also she was able to mobilize a lot of men as in feminism and in the women's issues, made them sing songs and made them feel that they are part of us. So I think Kamla, now it's a big responsibility for us. We should not just mourn her death. We have more responsibility to keep her alive. She wanted to live 2 more days. We have to make her live forever. Thank you.
Vibhuti, please unmute.
You have brought to the fore so many important political concerns that NGOization should not dilute the political thrust that we have, and whether it's a question of globalization or cultural nationalism, and connect it with to the gender concerns, no? And that's what I think in the World Social Forum 2004 and recently the Asian Social Forum, and that why global solidarity is required. In fact, she also facilitated sponsorship of 25 Dalit activists to attend this Asian Social Forum. Now I would like to ask Jyoti, Professor Jyoti Seth, who has worked very closely with Kamla at a personal level also, to share her experiences. Yeah.
Thank you, Vibhuti. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to share some of my parts of my association with Kamla Di. It's still so difficult to believe that she's not with us. I vividly remember my first meeting with Kamla Di when my friend Iqbal and I drove up to Kasoli from Chandigarh to meet her in her beautiful hill home. She was ever so warm and welcoming, and we had this long conversation. And both of us came back overawed and determined to have a first workshop for the faculty of colleges in Chandigarh. And it was a huge success. And then on started our yearly, bi-yearly, 3 times a year workshops for our students in 2 of the biggest colleges in Chandigarh, where Kamla Di, Abha, Jai Srivastav, Runu, Pritamji, and many others joined us. And my association with Jaguri Gramin became a very enriching and a permanent one. She set the tone for us to partner with the Chandigarh administration to take on a campaign valuing the girl child, which was a big thing in those times when the new census had come in Chandigarh, saying that the sex ratio was 777. And then, of course, the 1 billion rising, which was a huge public event in Chandigarh for 8 years. And Kamla supported us with Jaguri Gramin, Abha, and everybody. And she remained an inspiration. She talked to Navtej to come and do a special show. She talked to Malika Sarabhai and Elizabeth Sombart, who came and did concerts over here, which were all very new for Chandigarh. And you know, on a different level, if you look at her everyday life, she enjoyed very small things and found pleasure in them. I remember her sitting under the tree in Dharamshala at Tara, enjoying her mangoes, putting on her favorite music, and then going to the khad with the girls and having fun in the water. She loved being at Tara. And we had this Punjabi connect. Every summer when she reached Dharamshala, she would message me with joy, "Meta pahunch gayi haan, tu bhi aaja. You also come. I've reached here." She and Chotu and family, they loved being at Tara. And she had this very special connection with everyone working there. You know, and she showered them with her love. And everybody kind of came to meet her. She would hug everybody. So it was a very pleasurable moment over there whenever Kamladi was there and we were all there. Among the many, many things that I admire about her is her focus. She was so focused. She would think of something, think about it, talk about it, then sit and write, and then record it or take it to a conclusion. Wherever she wanted to write a book or do some illustrations, and then she would share it with everybody. And she'd say, "मैं छोटी-छोटी बातें लेती हूँ." But actually, वो छोटी-छोटी बातें नहीं थी. They were very meaningful and profound. And she used those really apt words which kind of reached out to everybody, and they became so very powerful. She used technology in a very wonderful way. And the last 2 years, I spoke to her many times when she said, "मैं अपने दोस्त को बोल रही हूँ कि मेरी पंजाबी में recording करो, different भाषा में recording करो." और as Farida ji said, वो लाल डायरी में उन्होंने 2 दिन पहले लिखा कि पटियाले में कुछ करना है मुझे, अक्टूबर में या दिसंबर में. I hope we can do it. I really wish we could do it. And perhaps it should be a little promise to her to do something, to continue what she had started. You know, she shared a lot of her personal experiences and stories, and I took them to my classrooms. And a lot of my students seemed to know Kamla more than her books. And when she came, there was an overwhelming response. Every principal, every colleague said, "Call Kamla ji," you know, and every student said, "Please call her again." And everybody who met her wanted to meet her again and again. She had that amazing power to pull people towards her. And no one, just no one remained unaffected. Her words ruffled many thoughts. She was kind of a trail finder and a beacon of transformation. I'm sure she must have been happy to see so many transformative lives in her own life because she touched so many people. And she had this amazing persona and presence. Her boundless energy, her spirited involvement, and क्या जिंदा दिली से जीती थी. शायद ये हम सबको सीखना है उनसे. And what a phenomenally meaningful life she led when she gave us new perspectives, providing us an assurance that an alternative was possible, giving hope to many, igniting the will to change, and of course, spreading love and camaraderie. There was always something to learn from her, and we continue to learn from her. And I'll end by saying that Kamladi was relevant for many generations, and she will continue to remain relevant for many, many more. I'm so fortunate to have known her. Thank you, Vibhuti.
So rightly you have said, because it's not only in Chandigarh, but all over India. Even when you go to a small town like a Surat or Vadodara or and everywhere, they sing Kamladi's song and they remember, they have a fond memory of Kamladi. And I think that's very important for any feminist to reach out to the hearts and heads of the generations, like 4 generations of people. Jagori had organized 3 days back such a beautiful memorial function in which we saw more than 350 participants, and all of them had so many nice things to say And I would like to ask Shimoyji to share her personal experiences. Yeah.
Please unmute, Srimoy ma'am.
Yeah.
Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, is it better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So thank you, Dr. Patel. I feel extremely emotional with Dr. Seth's beautiful comments, when she says we must commemorate and celebrate the glorious life that she led, as a woman, as a feminist, as a mother, as a pathfinder. I think for so many of us belonging to such diverse generations, geographical locations, as one of the other speakers very correctly mentioned, that for Kamla ji, there was no one kind of feminism. She had a heart and a mind that was evolved and large enough to embrace, or at least want to know about what I was doing. So, my remembrance of her, perhaps it's prophetic that all of you are speaking largely about her work, and of course, that merits primary place of pride. I'm going to just deviate a little because I think this was a part of Kay's life that I was very fortunate to have, had access to, and it healed me. So one of my enduring regrets is I never met Kay. She asked me to call her Kay, and she called me S because she says, Shrimoy will be S and Kamla will be K. So we were S and K for each other, almost like pen pals of yore. And I actually reached out to Kay when I was in the process of trying to put together a summit for single women. I had written a book in 2018, which is called Status Single. And very karmically, that led to the formation or the blossoming of a community. There were foundations or NGOs that were working with rural single women, right? But there was nothing for urban single women, because one would think that, what do urban single women, what are their problems? They're all working, they are all coming from rich families, what stigma or what hassle do they face? I turned 40 in 2018, and I interviewed over the course of 1.5 years 3,500 urban single women from all over the country. It was my wish that the book should not just be Shrimoy's story, because I think I'm fairly privileged, but I wanted to speak to women who were differently abled. I wanted to speak to women who were abandoned. My mother was a widow. Ma became a widow at the age of 29 when my biological father died by suicide. And we had faced the social stigma of her both being a young widow relocating to her parents' home, as well as, the shadow of being a survivor family, and we could never talk about it. We never had a safe space. So I wanted, to talk to older widows. I wanted to talk to divorced women, and that's how the book and the community blossomed. So in 2019, I sort of said that I want to put together this summit where I want to talk about issues being faced by urban single women, and how gradually, this is also we are also a marginalized group, because I had interviewed women who at their corporate workplaces never could share that they were divorced. There was so much of stigma against domestic violence, and I found that hypocritical, because here corporate India was talking about LGBTQ, they were giving a paid leave of absence for the first day of one's menstrual cycle. They were inducting differently abled women and men, but there was this prejudice against single women. So I wanted to highlight all of that, plus the difficulties in the legal system, custody battles, alimony woes, all of this. And I reached out to Kay. I got her number. I've been a journalist for 17 years before I became a full-time writer. So a friend of mine very kindly shared, and I reached out to Kay. After several back and forths on her landline and all of that, she was also busy. She said, call me. It was a Sunday evening. And I remember I called her at 6 p.m. and the conversation lasted till 10:30, 11 in the night. And she said, oh my God, what is this? This is like unbelievable. And at some point, as the conversation ebbed and flowed, she asked me to tell me a little bit about myself. And I shared my mother's story, which had inspired me to walk down this path and think of helping similar, single women sisters like myself. And she then opened up to me about Mitu's demise, her tryst with mental health, and how, like my mother, she had also been a primary caregiver to her former husband, who also battled bipolarism. And I told Kay that one of the things that I felt was my mother, who's 72 now, just a few years younger than beloved Kay, had never been healed. There was no concept of trauma counseling. There was no safe space, as I said, in the family to share. Everything was just about covering up, and Ma, developed severe anxiety, which I think today, with my knowledge and evolution, she has severe PTSD. When anyone, keeps the door locked, I can see my mother will bang from outside. Tikacho, kikocho, ghor bondo keno. She sleeps with an Ativan at night. And she's had a very difficult life, though she remarried, which also was, I think, a very brazen thing for her to do. At the age of 44, she remarried a South Indian man who's almost a decade younger than her. Once again, going against the grain. So me and Kay, we really had this wonderfully personal interaction. She was extremely, opinionated about the single women movement that I wanted to start in India for urban India. She had very, very logical, rational questions. What is the target, or, what's the group of women that you're looking at, the socio-economic status, what do you want to do with this summit? After the summit is over, then what? Are you thinking of an actual NGO? Do you have partners? And, when I received a SMS from her telling me, dearest KS, I don't know if we will ever meet again because I've been diagnosed with cancer. And I had lost my maternal grandmother to the same cancer that Kay had. And she said, I remember you had mentioned how it had broken you, because I was raised by my grandmother. And she said, I want you to keep me in your chants. She knew I was a Buddhist. And she said that, though we may never meet again, but don't give up on this dream that you had or have of, having this one umbrella of women. Even if, ultimately you have 15 women with you now, or 5 women, akla cholo re, Kay loved Robindra Sangeet, as ma'am, Ma'am Akhtar was also mentioning. She always spoke to me in Bangla. Whenever we spoke, she would start with Bondhu, Kamon acho, in that very high-pitched, happy voice of hers. I asked her once, in fact, I do this online chat show called Status Single with Shri, which is a community talk show. And Kay opened season 3, which was on inspiring single women. And there was Malika Sarabhai, who was also a close friend of hers, and many others. And that chat also, it's on YouTube. I request many of you who loved her to watch it. It was supposed to be just a chat on her activism, her work, her community building initiatives. Instead, it became such an emotional, deeply, deeply personal conversation about her mother, my mother, caregiving, what Mitu's death had done for her, as in her human evolution, how she looked at Chotu, knowing that she would obviously, she would leave this world much before him, because he is my age, he's in his early 40s. And it was just so wonderful. And I can't tell you, during that show, Dr. Patel, so many women, who played primary caregivers to mothers, sisters, daughters like me, single women who, were most of the time thrust with the onus of caregiving, even when there are siblings, or single mothers, resilient single mothers who were looking after specially able children, or, who had battled, who had lost their loved ones to mental health, just bombarded that chat, and Kay broke down, and weeping into her beautiful gamcha that, as ma'am said, she always carried. I think even that, was such a strong, symbol, of who she was as a person. Though the gamcha is now, of course, I see the gamcha being paraded on runways. But, as a Bengali girl growing up in a very middle class family, gamcha is, what we use to wipe our bodies. In those days, we never had a toale or a towel, we used the gamcha. And the gamcha had a very, economic thing, we always looked upon the gamcha as something for the poor people, gamcha, borolok, the rich people use towels. Families like us use the gamcha, But Kay carried that, and I remember she blew her nose, and I told her, I said, do you want me to take a break? She said, why? Don't people blow their noses into the gamcha? Don't you do it? I said, and that's what she was, even in the midst of a soul-seething, rousing, extremely sort of piercing feminist argument, she could add that nuance, of who she was as just a woman, as a and she spoke about, we foster a girl. My sister is 12. My mother, who's an educator, always wanted to help poor children. Being a teacher, she believes that education can really cause so much of improvement in the life of a lesser privileged child. And Kay knew about that, and she loved my sister, blessed her abundantly. And she spoke about being, in a sense, a foster grandmother to the children of her house staff who were looking after Chotu. And we spoke about, the barrenness that so many women feel because, oh, we are not married, or, we don't, like for my mother, she might not have nati natni or grandchildren of her own. But I think Kay lived that life where every single person she met became her family. And I think if there's I feel myself getting really choked up because we've had so many discussions on mental health. And I told her that how for 40 years, till I turned 40, I could never accept my father's suicide. And I was not told that he had, died by suicide till I was 16, and an uncle had blurted it out very cruelly. And Kay told me that, we must do more about women who are caregivers to those with mental health. Women like this rarely receive any support. On that chat, she spoke about her troubled marriage. And I thank her because, thanks to her opening up, like I said, so many women, were talking about being in arranged marriages where, the husband had schizophrenia or was bipolar. Suddenly, they were thrust into caregiving. They had little children. One of them even spoke about losing both the husband and her two sons to, mental health. And she's the only one who survived. And Kay spoke to her and said, and I remember that chat that Kay did with me, it's on YouTube. She had Mitu's beautiful picture, just at the back, as if Mitu was listening in, And I told her that how at 40, for the first time in my life, I had framed a picture of Baba, who passed away when he was only 30 and I was 1.5 years old. I have no memory of my father. I kept it in my room, and it's very. I think it's very beautiful that Dr. Kumar has organized this wonderful memorial today, because in my home state, and I think Kay had a Monet Tan, a karmic link with Bengal. Today we celebrate Pitri Pokho. From tomorrow Navratra start, and Pitri Pokho is a day when we go to the Ganges and we pay our respect, or torpon as it is called, to our ancestors. Kay was not related to me by blood or by birth or by any other connection. compared to many of you, my association with her was virtual. It was almost like one of these, in fact, after that Lamba Adda, I told Kay, I said, my God, this is like meeting like a blind date, both of us have had, and we are chatting and ideating and crying. And I just feel that what a wonderful day to look at Kay as our family, to look at families which are beyond blood and birth, to look at sisterhood, which is based on idealism and hope and peace and protest, and also to look at Kamla Di or Kamla Ji or, Kay, as I called her, as not just a trailblazer, but I think also as a mother, as a wife, as a grandmother, as a sister, like she was to her sisters in her family and to all of us. And to realize that we have to, like she would always tell me, don't be disheartened. I would tell her, oh, my summit didn't happen, the COVID. She said, don't be disheartened. It'll happen. Keep at it. Keep at it. Akla cholo. She loved this song. When I received the message from Mallika Di that she's no more, I was gutted. It almost felt like, as I'm joking about it, but it actually felt like this long distance love who you pine and you plan to meet and it never happens. It almost felt tragic. I know that she's now united with Meetu, who she loved and missed so much. And I want to say that we will all remember her for her activism, for Jagori, for Sangat, for all the beautiful communities that she helped birth through her work and sisterhood and guidance. But I want to remember her today as standing up so proudly as the mother of a woman who chose to end her own life, to have no shame to talk about it publicly, to embrace the truth of a survivor family, that our lives are not like everyone else's. We've lost somebody to a tragic illness and not a crime. And therefore, on the show, she kept correcting people who said, committed. She said, nobody commits suicide. You die by suicide. It's not criminal, and it's an illness. It's a cancer of the mind. I just hope that, the blessings that she showered on me and on all of us on this beautiful, it's a rainy, beautiful day in Kolkata. And I can almost see Kay with her gamcha, getting emotional at my words and saying, Shri, abar kadali tui, you made me cry again, which is what she told me after my show. I hope we are able to each individually and collectively honor her life. Not just the life of an activist, but the life of a woman who always stood up for who and what she believed in. Thank you so much.
Shri, you brought out so many beautiful memories, and I think here among the participants also, there are feminists who have been active since 70s, 80s, 90s. I think I'm sure all of them must have seen so many parallels in your testimony and narrative, so sensitively and beautifully projected by you in your presentation.
Thank you.
Now I would like to ask another co-traveler of Kamlaji, is a Dr. Lata Pratibha Madhukar. She has been a veteran feminist. She has been very active in various social movements, and she also was one of the first person to go for a Sangad's training in Pakistan. Yeah, Lata, and like Kamlaji, she also is an extremely creative, multifaceted persona. She writes right from children's poetry to feminist songs, and now she has, yeah. Yes, Lata, yeah, please start.
Thank you, Vibhuti. Thank you, Arjun Kumar sir, that you organized this event. When Shrimoi was talking, I was feeling that really what you said, that we all are traveling with her, and whatever the memories she shared with us, those were like one song. Like Kamla herself was a song. I feel that एक गीत थी वो, और ऐसा गीत थी कि वो गुनगुनाते हुए हम लोगों को के पास बहुत सारी ऐसी पंक्तियां छोड़कर गई है. मुझे माफ कीजिए, लेकिन मैं बहुत दिनों बाद, हालांकि इंग्लिश में तो मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ, लेकिन मेरी बहुत सारी मेमोरीज उनके गानों के साथ है. जो गीत उनके हिंदी में है, जैसे कि पहला जो गीत है धम्मक धम धम भाई धम्मक धम लड़की ना लड़के से कम, तो हमने सबने 1986 में जो कैंपेन खड़ा हुआ, when we started that the forum against sex determination and sex pre-selection, and that campaign was run by this forum and forum against oppression of women, all of us activists and all the women, men and their children were on the street. And that time I have written one play that was called लड़की ना लड़के से कम, और वो सॉन्ग की लाइन कमला दी के गाने से ली थी। और 200 बच्चों को हमने हुतात्मा चौक में पहली बार इस तरीके से 200 बच्चों का स्ट्रीट प्ले किया था।
चिल्ड्रंस डे ऑन November 14, 1986
नवंबर, तो वो चिल्ड्रंस डे के दिन, और उसके बहुत सारे फोटोग्राफ्स विभूति के पास है। आज जिस तरीके की मेमोरीज हम लोग लेकर कमला जी के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, उस समय हमने उस गाने से शुरुआत की थी, और फिर मैंने वो नाटक पूरा लिखा था जिसमें 4 जोकर्स होते हैं, और वो सारे 4 जोकर्स 50-50 बच्चों का टीम लेकर पूरा का पूरा बता रहे थे। और उसमें लड़के लड़कियां, आदिवासी बच्चे, झुग्गी झोपड़ियों के बच्चे, कॉन्वेंट के बच्चे, सबको इकट्ठा किया था। और दैट वाज द फर्स्ट डे एक्चुअली वी sang several songs, we viewed, those were कमला सॉन्ग्स। और उसमें एक गीत था वो, तुम गंदा करते हो, हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ, तुम सफाई भी करते हो, नाजी 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 ना। और मैं आपको बता दूं, आज तक बड़े बुजुर्ग आदमियों के साथ मैं पहला गीत बोल लेती हूँ, और आदमी जब बोलते हैं कि तुम गंदा करते हो, हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ जी हाँ, तुम सफाई भी करते हो, तो सब रुक जाते हैं और कहते हैं नाजी 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 ना। तो मुझे पता चलता है कि कमला की जरूरत कितनी है, और ये कमला के गानों की ताकत है कि जो आज तक हमें प्रवाहित करती रही है। और मुझे लगता है कि जिस तरीके से कमला के बारे में अभी परसों जागोरी ने जो फंक्शन रखा, हर एक के मन में टुकड़े टुकड़े कमला है, हर एक के मन में। किसी के पास वर्चुअल है, फरीदा जी मुझे बहुत सालों बाद में उनको देख रही हूँ, शिरीन जी, ज्योति जी सब, और मुमताज है यहाँ, दीपाली है, विभूति ने बहुत अच्छा किया कि इस तरीके से हमारी बातें, क्योंकि हम सबके मन में कमला है। और उस दिन किसी ने कह दिया, उनकी बहुत करीबी दोस्त ने, कि कमला यानी खतीजा थी शायद, उन्होंने कहा कि कमली थी आप। तो ये जो है सचमुच हम सबको दीवानी करने वाली ये जो कमला है, उनके बारे में बताऊं तो 1986 में जब सेंडिट वर्कशॉप था, जिसमें विभूति ने भी अगुवाई की थी और कमला ने भी अगुवाई की थी, और उस समय मेरी कमला से पहली मुलाकात हुई। और जब पहली मुलाकात हुई उस समय मैं विमेन एंड मीडिया वर्कशॉप में वीडियो सीखने गई थी, और पहली बार मैं उस समय तक मैं फ्लाइट में नहीं चढ़ी थी, और वो मेरा पहला हवाई जहाज का सफर था। और जब मैं उतर के आई और फिर कमला ने कहा कि कैसा रहा सफर, तो उसी दिन के बाद उनके घर में भी पार्टी थी, और फिर उन्होंने हमको सबको दावत दी थी। और मुझे याद है कि सब पाकिस्तान, नेपाल, श्रीलंका, अफगानिस्तान, हर एक जगह से आई हुई हम सारी महिलाएं मिल रही थी। और वो उस दिन जिस तरीके का मिलाप हुआ, उसके बाद मुझे लगने लगा कि उनका जो कृति वर्कशॉप से निकला हुआ पोस्टर है 1 + 1 = 11, ये सही है। और जब मैं पाकिस्तान गई, और पाकिस्तान में करीबन 1 महीना लाहौर में थी, और मैं लाला रुख से मिली, फरीदा शेर से मिली, बाकी काफी सारे, और बांग्लादेश से आपके यहाँ से बहुत सारे मुनीरा आई हुई थी, और कितने अफरोजा थी, और ये सारे लोग हम लोग मिल रहे थे। और हम अमृतसर बॉर्डर पे गए, तब भी हमने गाने गुनगुनाए, लता मंगेशकर के, आशा भोसले के, रफी के और कमला के। तो हमारे लिए आंदोलन में वो एक इस तरीके की लीजेंडरी फिगर है, जिस तरीके से बाकी पूरे मेन स्ट्रीम में लता या आशा हो। तो मुझे लगता है कि उस तरीके से उन्होंने उनकी जगह बनाई। हालांकि कलेक्टिव लीडरशिप पर हम लोगों का बहुत विश्वास है, और आज बहुत जरूरी है, जबकि कलेक्टिव लीडरशिप को लेकर किसान आंदोलन बात कर रहा है, तब मुझे लगता है कि ये लेगेसी उनको विमेंस मूवमेंट ने दी है। और इस लेगेसी को देते हुए हम सब देख रहे हैं कि हमारे पास बैठे हुए लोग हर एक अपने आप में शख्सियत है, अपने आप में नेतृत्व है। वहां 350 लोग जागोरी के समय जो जुड़े थे, वो भी उसी तरीके से शख्सियत थे, या गेल के शोक सभा में जुड़े थे, वो इसी तरीके की शख्सियत थे। सोनल बेन के शोक सभा में या ट्रिब्यूट देने में जुड़े थे, शख्सियत थे। लेकिन मैं अगर देखा जाए तो बाकी अन्य मूवमेंट में एक एक लीडरशिप है। हमारे मूवमेंट में कमला उसी समय श्रीमोई को भी लीडर कर देती है और उसी समय वो जागोरी की सारी बहनों को, शांति बहनों या फिर कोई भी हो, और हम सभी लोग कंधे पे हाथ रखकर एक दूसरे के साथ जा सकते हैं। जैसे कि उसने मुझे छोटी छोटी बातों में सराहा था, वो सारे टुकड़े मेरे पास है, उसको लेकर हमारी एक बहुत बड़ी क्विल्ट बनेगी। उन क्विल्ट में शायद मूवमेंट के हिस्टोरिकल मूवमेंट्स जो रख रहे हैं आज हम, वो आगे जाकर लोगों के काम आएंगे 100 साल बाद, और उनको पता चलेगा कि इस तरीके का भारत में मूवमेंट था, स्त्रियों का आंदोलन था। This type of movement was there, that where all several types of voices and the leaderships were emerged in their own area, own state, own country, own region. There were several different languages and the diversities, and all of them were coming together and they were having different translations. And those translations were actually all of us are taking like torch, and those translations are giving us the strength. तो वो जो है वो अनुवाद भी हम लोगों को इस तरीके से, क्योंकि हमने देखा तमिलनाडु में भी, तेलंगाना में भी, जब जहां जहां मैं गई हूँ, कर्नाटका में, बीजापुर में भी, मैंने देखा कि फेमिनिज्म की छोटी किताब हो या पैट्रियार्की की किताब हो, तो सब लोगों को कहना है कि भैया आपका बहुत सारा मतभेद हो सकता है, आपका थियरीज को लेकर कमला जी से बहुत सारे मतभेद हो सकते हैं, लेकिन ये छोटी किताबों ने बहुत असर किया है। और मैंने देखा है सारे यूनिवर्सिटीज में, एकेडमिक स्टडीज में, एक्टिविस्ट लोगों के हाथों में भी जब ये किताब आ जाती है, तो पितृसत्ता और जेंडर को लेकर जो कोटेशंस बने हैं, आज बहुत मजेदार बातें हैं कि छोटी छोटी चीजों को लेकर जब कोटेशंस बन जाते, तो आज कमला भसीन के कोटेशंस एज खलील जिब्रान पीपल आर यूजिंग. And therefore, we can see that how wonderfully she talked about women, children, the whole against racism, against whole caste and patriarchal hierarchy. और उसको लेकर जब मैं नर्मदा बचाओ आंदोलन में काम कर रही थी, NAPM में, और एनरॉन विरोधी आंदोलन का नेतृत्व, तभी भी मुझे कमला की काफी सारी चीजें और उसने बनाई हुई काफी गीत काम आते थे, जैसे कि कैसी नीति है, कोका कोला, पेप्सी कोला, हर तरह का कोला, लेकिन है पानी गायब जब भी नल है खोला, कैसी नीति है। तो इस तरीके के गीत हो, या फिर जो भारत और पाकिस्तान की या सारे अलग साउथ एशियन कंट्रीज की महिलाएं इकट्ठा आई, तब उन्होंने लिखा हुआ ये गीत तो मैं और विभूति तो बहुत गाते हैं। दरिया की कसम, मौजों की कसम, ये ताना बाना बदलेगा, तू खुद को बदल, तभी तो जमाना बदलेगा। तो ये जो परचम है, ये पर्दों का जब परचम बनाएंगे वाली जो एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत हम सबके मन में, जैसे गमछे का उदाहरण श्रीमोई ने दिया, लेकिन ये जो है हमारे पास आया हुआ दुपट्टा, ये कोई वो कहती है आमिर खान के शो में, ये दुपट्टा कोई मैं जन्म से लेकर थोड़ी ना आई हूँ, ये जो योनी है इसको लेकर आपने कैसे तय कर लिया कि इसमें इज्जत है। ये तो बलात्कारी है जिसकी इज्जत जाती है। बलात्कार से योनि प्राप्त करने वाली उस स्त्री की इज्जत गई है, वो कौन कहता है? वो आप कहते हो, हम नहीं कहते हैं। इस योनि की इज्जत करना उसने कितने सारे लोगों को सत्यमेव जयते के माध्यम से सिखाया। और इज्जत यानी नॉट दैट इज्जत जो बाप के घर से निकली और फिर बलात्कार हो गया तो वापस नहीं आना है, या फिर ससुराल चली गई तो वही जल के मरी, ऐसी इज्जत की बात नहीं कर रही थी। वो प्रतिष्ठा की बात कर रही थी, डिग्निटी की बात कर रही थी, राइट टू लिव विथ डिग्निटी वाली जो हम लोग बोलते हैं, उसको लेकर कमला के हर एक गाने में। अब छोटे छोटे कैंपेन्स है, लेकिन बड़े भी कैंपेन्स है जिसकी बात आपने की। तो मैंने 1 बिलियन राइजिंग के समय मैंने कमला को एक छोटी सी नोट लिखी और तुरंत उसका जवाब आया, अरे भाई तेरे जैसा अगर उत्साह और तेरे जैसी अगर ऊर्जा होगी ना लता, तो ये कैंपेन तो बिल्कुल बिलियंस क्या और भी लोगों के पास पहुंचेगा। जैसे कि लग रहा था कि अरे वाह, मैं अकेले ही हूँ जिस तरीके से उसने पहल की होगी, और मुझे मालूम है कि ऐसा उसने सबको लिखा होगा। So that type of commitment with the person who is in the movement, and that type of comradeship, that which Jyoti said, और वो उस तरीके की कॉमरेडशिप जो है वो उन्होंने हम सबको दी है। मुझे और भी लगता है कि एक बात कहना मैंने भूलना नहीं चाहिए, वो ये है कि आज के दौर पे जब किसानों की हत्या हो रही है, जिस तरीके की हिंसा हो रही है, जिस तरीके की वारदातें भारत में चल रही है, फरीदा जी आप लोगों को शायद वहाँ पता चल रहा होगा, लेकिन ऑल ऑफ मीन्स दैट द होल स्ट्रगल ऑफ द फार्मर्स इज गोइंग ऑन इन अवर कंट्री एंड 8 यंगस्टर्स 8 बेटों को कुचल दिया गया है कल, और वो एक मंत्री के बेटे ने कुचल दिया, उसके पूरे 3 व्हीकल आए और मार दिया है। और कमला का एक गीत यहाँ है कि हमें किसी भी तरीके की हिंसा नहीं चाहिए। हम क्या रोकेंगे? हिंसा रोकेंगे। क्या नहीं चाहिए? हिंसा नहीं चाहिए। तो हिंसा नहीं चाहिए वाली कहने वाली सारी औरतें जो कल भी अपने बेटों को के शव लेकर रो रही थी, जो वो न्याय भी मांग रही थी, फिर भी अपने हकों से, अपनी डिमांड से नहीं हटी थी। उन्होंने कहा था 3 कृषि कानून जो है वो जुल्मी कानून है और वो उसके विरोध में हम लोग संघर्ष कर रहे हैं। तो उनको पूछा गया कि आपको क्या चाहिए, तो उन्होंने कहा बच्चे तो मर गए हैं, शहीद हुए हैं, लेकिन हमें न्याय चाहिए और सबसे पहले चाहिए कि 3 किसान विरोधी कानून रद्द किए जाए। तो ये जो हौसला है, ये जो जज्बा है, ये जज्बा किसी हिंसा को डरने वाला नहीं है। ये हम निडर आजाद हो जाएगी, अब वो सिसक के ना रोएगी, ये वाला जज्बा है। और हम मिलेंगे, फनकारी करेंगे, हम नाचेंगे गाएंगे, ये बात है, लेकिन कब करेंगे? जब हम आजादी पाएंगे। और वो मुझे हमेशा लगता है कि कमला दी के बारे में अगर बात करनी है तो ये बात करनी है जरूर कि आज अगर लव जिहाद का मामला है तो कमला लव आजाद का प्रतीक थी। और इसलिए आगे का मी टू स्लीप हो, बिलियन राइजिंग हो, ये सारे कैंपेन हुए हैं हम सबको बॉर्डर तोड़ने के लिए। फिर वो बांग्लादेश, पाकिस्तान, श्रीलंका, नेपाल, चाइना, किसी भी तरीके की बॉर्डर्स हो, हमारे इर्द गिर्द बॉर्डर हो, वो बॉर्डर तोड़ने के लिए हम सबको इकट्ठा आकर लव आजाद वाला कैंपेन जरूर शुरू करना चाहिए। और कमला दी, सोनल बेन, सिकिंग बेगम, पूरा देखने वाली गेल, ये सारी विमेंस मूवमेंट की देन है। और इन्होंने विमेंस मूवमेंट को जो देन दी है, ये पूरे आंदोलनों की देन को लेकर हम ऐसा आंदोलन खड़ा करें जो लोगों के दिमाग में, दिल में और सभी जगह से नफरत हटाए, हिंसा के खिलाफ एक बहुत ऐसा कारवां चले जो बुद्ध के तरीके से मैत्रेय या सम्यक तौर पे चले। और हम सिकिंग बेगम पूरा देखते हुए कमला के हसीन सपने जो वो चाहती थी आखिरी समय तक भी कि आंदोलन क्या होता है, सोनल बेन भी कहती है स्त्री आंदोलन क्या है, तो तुरंत कहती है ये है सामाजिक और पूरे व्यवस्था परिवर्तन का आंदोलन। तो इस व्यवस्था परिवर्तन की लड़ाई में हमने इन सारे लोगों ने जो मशाल जलाए हैं, उन सारे मशालों को लेकर इकट्ठा आते हैं, क्योंकि ये सबसे पहली देन पूरे विश्व में अगर सामूहिक नेतृत्व की किसी ने दी होगी तो वो स्त्री आंदोलन की है। और इस स्त्री आंदोलन की देन को लेकर और बहुत सारे फेमिनिज्म्स के इतने सारे प्रवाहों को इकट्ठा करते हुए इस सरिता को, इस नदी को प्रवाहित करते हुए हम सारे बॉर्डर मिटाने, लाला रुख का सपना भी था कि ये बॉर्डर मिटनी चाहिए। मेरी पाकिस्तान की बहुत ही प्यारी दोस्त थी। तो ये मुझे लगता है कि ये सपने हम जी रहे हैं सब लोग अलग अलग जगह पे, तो क्यों नहीं, अभी तो वर्चुअली चल रहा है, लेकिन हम सब लोग कभी ना कभी जमीन पर इस तरीके से एक चेन के साथ मिलेंगे, एक बहुत मजबूती के साथ मिलेंगे। और लव आजाद का ये कैंपेन सबके दिमाग से वो प्यार भयानक है या प्यार एक दूसरे के साथ करना गलत है और हिंसा को ज्यादा महत्व देना चाहिए, इस तरीके के माफिया राज को या कॉरपोरेट्स को हम ललकारेंगे। ऐसा मुझे लगता है वो सबसे बड़ी चुनौती आज के दौर की है। और ये सबसे बड़ी आदरांजलि कमला दी को होगी कि कमला, हम लोग सचमुच तुम हमारे बीच में की एक थी, लेकिन हमसे बहुत अलग अवलिया कमली थी। तो तुम्हारे रूहानी रुमानी इस तरीके के सारे जज्बात को समझते हुए हम भी थोड़ा सा रुमानी हो जाए। धन्यवाद विभूति।
बहुत ही अच्छे, Lata. You have really brought to forth the glorious legacy of the women's movement, Ek Aur Ek 11, the collective struggle, solidarity and sisterhood, and the legacy connecting it with the Gail Omved's work and Sonal Ben's work. Now I would like to I would like the next generation of women's movement activists to share their experiences of how they have used these messages of the four mothers in feminist movement in their day-to-day practical work. So first of all, I would like to ask Deepali Ben from Sahiyar, where I think they had invited Kamla just, I think 2 years back for a 1 billion rising campaign in a small town called Vadodara. So Deepali Ben, can you share the experiences of Sahiyar? Yeah. Is she there?
Yeah, ma'am.
Is she there?
Yes, ma'am is here. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Deepali. Hello.
Can you hear us, ma'am?
Is she coming? Or can we start with Yagna? She will join later. So Yagna, can you share the experiences of Vacha?
Yes.
And bonding between Sonal Behan and Kamlaji. Yes.
Can I request IMPRI team to share my presentation? Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm really honored to share my experiences with Kamlaji. And all my co-panelists has a long association with Kamlaji, and I'm too young to share about Kamlaji, but what I know her mostly as, frankly speaking, I do not know her personally as much, but what I know her is mainly as a trainer, the eminent gender trainer, researcher, writer, poet, and authors of innumerable books on women's rights and gender issues. Next slide, please. And I have her slogan of Azadi has actually resonated within me, and I was very much inspired by her slogan Azadi, Bahina Mange Azadi, Hum Bhi Mange Azadi. The way she had connected everyone, all sphere of the populations was very much inspiring and very thought-provoking. Next slide, please. So, reading of her books on understanding gender, patriarchy, feminism, masculinity has enabled me to understand what is patriarchy, what is gender, and to understand more about that. Frankly, I have a master's degree in social works, and gender was one of the subject of the course. But it is the reading of the books of Kamlaji that gave me new insights and learnings regarding these complex concepts. And I was eager to meet Kamlaji by then, Kamlaji in person. And next, please. And in 2012, finally, I got a chance to attend one of her trainings at Jagori, New Delhi, Jagori, New Delhi. I was very much excited to attend those trainings. I was mesmerized by her enthusiasm, simple demeanor, and her way of explaining complex concepts in a very easy language and terms which even layperson can understand. She maintained that one cannot be feminist by reading books on feminism of other feminists, or one needs to internalize the gender sensitivity and should have larger perspective towards women's rights issues. I think the presentation which is running is, I had sent the revised one. No problem. Can you put, yes, please. So, right, and her poem of Darya ki Kasam, Maujo ki Kasam wala, the Tu Khud ko Badal. So, I believe that this poem itself exemplifies her motto. And this poem has actually personally also inspired me in my personal life as well. And I have implemented in my life. I would like to just, I'm aware that this song is very popular among all of us and we are aware about it, but I would like to share say 4 lines of this song. Mainly 2 lines. तू खुद को बदल तब ही तो ज़माना बदलेगा. And I completely believe in that. Then unless and until we bring change in ourselves and we prepare, we build our larger perspective, it will the change will not be possible. Next slide. Kamla's training was very participative and experiential and devoid of jargons. Many slogans and songs were used in her trainings, which added to the enthusiasm of participants. Many of my colleagues at Vacha have attended her trainings at Jagori in New Delhi as well as Jagori Rural at Himachal Pradesh and have been greatly influenced by her work. The 2-week course on gender, human rights, sustainable development and women's empowerment organized by Samvad and Jagori Rural were enriching experience for the team. It gave them deeper understanding of these how gender is constructed, role of patriarchy, women's rights as human rights, and legal framework to protect women's rights, bodily safety and sexuality and communal harmony. Next slide. Yes. At Vacha, we have been using various posters, slogans like Dammak Dam Ha Dammak Dam, Ladki Na Ladke Se Kam, and songs prepared by Kamlaji. These resources are used and disseminated during our residential gender trainings and gender and health fairs and our work with intersectionally deprived girls across Mumbai and Thane district. The two of the popular songs among our girls are this one song called Sahiyar Ki Tapti Ret Par. I'm not very sure whether it has been written by Kamlaji or not, but my team member had attended a Sangat training and they had learned these songs in that training. So I presume that there would be a contribution of Kamlaji in these songs. I request IMPRI team to play the Sahiyar Ki Tapti put a slide of Sahiyar Ki Tapti Ret Wala. Yes. So this is a very popular song among our girls, our project participants where we have our interventions. We have been working in Mumbai and Thane districts, and every year we reached out to 1,500 girls on a very regular basis. So this Sahiyar and this songs, I will say the Sahiyar की तपती रेत पर चलते रहे बरसों मगर अब तो बरसना है, अब ना तरसना है, अब ना तरसना है. एंड आर गर्ल्स, हमारी जो लड़कियां हैं वो ये सॉन्ग को इतना खुद में उन्होंने इंटरनलाइज कर लिया है कि उनको लगता है कि जो भी संघर्ष आएगा, जो भी स्ट्रगल्स आएगी, हम उसमें आगे बढ़ने वाले हैं और अभी हमें कोई भी नहीं रोक सकता है. फिर हमें पता है, लाइक मालूम है कि रास्ता रोकेगी ये दुनिया, रस्मों रिवाजों से टोकेगी दुनिया, लेकिन हम नहीं रुकेंगे. हमारा हौसला स्ट्रॉन्ग है एंड किनारा सामने है और हम तो उड़कर वहां पहुंचेंगे ही. दूसरा जो सॉन्ग है बड़ा मजा आए, अपना दिन हम मनाए. So that song is very popular among our girls in Vacha team as well as in project participants. They have been using this song during Women's Day, International Girls Day, International Youth Day, during 16 days of activism also. The अपना दिन हम मनाए तो बड़ा मजा आए, इसे त्योहार बनाए तो बड़ा मजा आए, ये song हम सबने जाना है. So ये song भी हम बहुत we use these songs quite often. Next slide, please. These are some of the pictures of our gender and health fairs where we display the slogans and songs, some of the songs of Kamlaji, songs and slogans prepared by Kamlaji. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So, and these resources are part of Vacha's library and cultural center and have been accessed by girls, students, youth, researcher, media, teachers. Vacha, next slide. No. Can you go back, please? Back. Please go back. Can you go back, please? One more. Yes. So these are some of the resources which we have prepared from the Kamla Bhasin's work. Like Our Gender Ko Samjhe, this book has been prepared based on the other publications of Kamla ji, and Geet Vacha. This booklet has been designed to suit the need of the urban population, and these books are distributed and disseminated very largely to the college to the school students, college students, and students and girls and boys in Bastis. Geet Vacha is a compilation of Nari Mukti song and Sakhiyo ke Sang. So that is also an album of songs, which also album of various songs of women empowerment, which has Kamla Bhasin songs as well. Now, can you go to 1 Million Rising slide, please? So, as we all are aware that 1 Million Rising was one of the many initiatives of Sanvad, and Vacha was part of this initiative in 2013. And almost 500 girls from Kalyan area had actually launched this event in Vacha as part of 1 Million Rising campaign. They did kite flying and making a confident entry into male vesting. Apart from this, girls produced a simple bookmarks with slogans on violence against women and girls and carried back the bookmarks home for use in their textbooks. The idea of that there is an event, there is a campaign where women and girls can come together, rise together for protest and for equality and in solidarity itself, that has enthused girls more, and that adolescents were impressed by that greatly. Almost 300 women and children rose against violence against women at Juhu Beach, which you can see some of the pictures of that at Juhu Beach, where they had recited poems, slogans, and performed street plays on violence against women. The Vacha had created a special song. We have one song, Hum Chale Khushiyan Manane. In that, we had added one stanza for 1 million, dedicated to 1 Million Rising campaign. And I would like to say those for that stanza about that. 100 करोड़ उमड़ के आई कम नहीं है हम, अब ये हिंसा लड़कियों पे नहीं सहेंगे हम, ना इंसाफी नहीं चलेगी खाई आज कसम, सुनो रे सुनो लड़कियां हम नहीं किसी से कम, हे हो हे ho. So these 4 lines were specially dedicated to the 1 Million Rising campaign by girls, and this song had been sang at various events and presentations and rallies, exhibitions, and at various locations in Mumbai and Thane district. Next slide. So 2 icons, similar spirits. In September 2021, in the month in which we lost Kamla ji and Sonal Ben, 2 stalwarts of women's movement. Though these were 2 different personalities, but both of them had a similar zest for life, creativity, and insights into gender equity, passion for fighting for gender equality and empowerment of girls and women. Both held the belief that कुछ भी हो जाए पर हंसते रहना है, संघर्षों में भी हंसना तो बनता है. So both had believed that one should smile even during the tough struggles, and I'm personally inspired by that. With Sonal Ben, I have worked very closely with her, so I know more about her. But for Kamla ji, I have known her in a different capacity. And what other way I could give a tribute to Kamla ji? So I would like to, next slide. I would like to conclude my tribute to Kamla ji through a song created by Sonal Ben, especially for Kamla ji. Thumaka Main To Nachungi. Actually, I will play it from here because there is seem to be some problem that side. So I'll request my technical team to play that song, please. ठुमक मैं तो नाचूंगी,
नाचूंगी मेरी सखियों के संग, मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरी दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, ठुमक मैं तो नाचूंगी, नाचूंगी मेरी सखियों के संग, मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी। सखियों के संग संग मीटिंग में जाऊंगी, सखियों के संग संग मीटिंग में जाऊंगी, सखियों के संग संग मोर्चे में जाऊंगी, सखियों के संग संग मोर्चे में जाऊंगी, ऐसी लगन मोहे लगी रे, लगी रे, ओहो लगी रे, वो तो लगी 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 रे, वो तो लगी 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 रे, मेरी सखियों के संग, मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी, सहेली मेरे दिल में उमंग है भरी। So this has been my sharing and my experiences with Kamla ji, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you Vibhuti also, and thank you IMPRI team.
Thank you, Yagna Ben, for sharing experiences and how the Kamla's message has now reached to the community. We have another very big organization which has done a pioneering work in literacy mission. Over last 50 years, they have been working from CORO for literacy. And we have the manager of Women Empowerment Committee of CORO for Literacy, Mumtaz Shaikh. Mumtaz, please, can you share your experiences of how you are using the knowledge resources created by Kamla ji for your literacy mission?
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया विभूति मैम और सभी का कि आज बहुत सारी यादें जो है वो ताज़ा हुई है और मुझे बहुत गर्व महसूस हो रहा है कि मैं आज यहाँ पे हूँ। मैंने पर्सनली तो कभी मैं कमला दी को मिल नहीं पाई, बहुत मौके छूट गए जब जब था, लेकिन लास्ट जो मैंने उनको सुना जब अनीता पगारी जी की मौत हुई कोविड की वजह से, और उस दरमियान जो था तो वो मेरा आखिरी उनके साथ की मुलाकात थी। लेकिन कभी ऐसा नहीं लगा कि मैं उनको मिली नहीं हूँ। उसका एक रीज़न मतलब संगठन किस तरीके से उनके गानों को, उनकी किताबों को हमने लेकर गए हैं ये तो मैं बताना ही चाहूँगी। लेकिन मेरा पर्सनल जो एक्सपीरियंस है उनके गानों के वजह से जो बदलाव मेरी ज़िंदगी में आया है, और मैंने इसके पहले भी बहुत बार कहा है, दरिया की कसम मौजों की कसम ये जो गीत है, मैं बहुत ही टिपिकल मुस्लिम फैमिली से आई थी, तो मैं नकाब में ही थी और तभी का मेरा एक खुद का स्ट्रगल चल रहा था। और उस गाने ने मुझे पता नहीं किसी ने तो उसका पैम्पलेट मुझे गिफ्ट कराया था, और हम जहाँ पे भी जाते थे गाने गाते थे। मैंने 2-3 बार उस गाने को सुना और उसकी जो लाइन है, ये पर्दा तुम्हारा कैसा है, क्या ये मजहब का हिस्सा है, कैसा पर्दा कैसा मजहब, ये सब मर्दों का किस्सा है। मैं अभी भी मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे हैं। और फिर मैंने उसको ये किया कि सच में ये जो मैं पर्दा पहन रही हूँ, मैं ये जो बुर्खा पहन रही हूँ, क्या इसका कोई मतलब है, मतलब ये क्यों पहन रहे हैं, कैसे पहन रहे हैं। और मैंने मेरा जो नकाब था वो मैंने पहनना छोड़ दिया। तो इस तरीके का असर जो है मैं अकेली नहीं, बहुत सारी महिलाएं होंगी कि जिनके लाइफ के ऊपर ये हुआ होगा और किसी ने रियलाइज किया होगा, किसी ने नहीं किया होगा, लेकिन ये असर छोड़ता है। जब आप कमला दी की कोई भी किताब लेते हो, एक किताब मेरे भी पास है जिसका नाम है उल्टी सुल्टी अम्मा, और बहुत नज़दीकी किताब है, माँ बेटी की स्टोरी है। हजारों माँ बेटी अपने अपने घरों में जब इसे देखती है या जब हम इसका कोई पार्ट पढ़ के सुनाते हैं तो हंसती है कि उनके अंदर का जो बचपन है उसको कैसे उन्होंने बाहर लाया है। ये जेंडर भला क्या है, ये जो किताब है। तो जब हमने रिसर्च शुरू किया था मर्दानगी को लेके, स्त्रीत्व को लेकर, तो एज अ फैसिलिटेटर हमारी समझ बनने के लिए काफ़ी मदद हुई। जब हम पितृसत्ता को समझने की कोशिश करते हैं या जब हम महिला या पुरुष को देखते हैं, तो कमला जी का एक बहुत अच्छा गुण या तरीका जो था बताने का, उन्होंने इंसानियत को अहमियत दी है। उन्होंने किसी महिला या पुरुष को अहमियत नहीं दी है। अगर वो फेमिनिज्म की भी बात करते हैं या वो जब जेंडर की बात करते हैं, वो हिंसा की बात करते हैं, तो वो प्यार की बात करते हैं, वो करुणा की बात करते हैं। तो ये काफी सारे लोगों के लिए बहुत आसान जाता है। वरना हमेशा से जेंडर की अगर बात करें तो स्त्री विरुद्ध पुरुष, ये जो संकल्पनाएं सामने आती है और उसमें कौन सही कौन गलत, इसके ऊपर लोग ज्यादा ये करते। तो मुझे लगता है कि जो हमने सीखा है एज अ कोरो, एज अ मुमताज या जितने भी मेरी बहनें हैं, तो हमने वो इंसानियत को उसमें से ढूंढने की कोशिश की है। और जब हम उसको लेकर लोगों से बात करते तो वो किसी को हर्ट नहीं करता है, वो किसी के लिए दूरियां बनाने के लिए उसका असर नहीं होता है, तो वो नजदीक आते हैं। ये हमारा अनुभव रहा है और जो हमने देखा है। और इसका सिर्फ एक हम हमेशा कहते हैं कि दिल दिमाग जुबान बर्ताव, ये जो चीजें हैं, ये अगर आपकी सही हो तो आप लोगों के सामने जा सकते हो। और कमला जी हमेशा से ये जी है, कमला जी ने हमेशा से ये चीजें लोगों के पास लाई है। और वही जब हम महिला मंडल फेडरेशन की और से जो बस्ती में दलित और मुस्लिम बहनों का संगठन है, करीबन 10,000 बहनें उसके मेंबर हैं, तो जब हम ये सारी चीजें लेकर जाते हैं तो हमेशा से ये चीज हम लोगों के ऊपर जब हम बात करते तो वो रखते हैं कि दिल में और दिमाग में और जुबान में अगर एक बात हो तो वो बहुत आसानी से जाती है। या कमला जी के जो कोट है कि पूंजीवाद और पितृसत्ता का दोहरा रिश्ता रहा है, क्योंकि पूंजीवाद को सस्ते श्रम की जरूरत है और महिलाएं सबसे सस्ती क्या कहते हैं उसे, श्रमिक है। तो ये जो वाक्य है, जब हम महिलाओं के साथ बात करते हैं तो उनको उनके मूल्य के बारे में समझाना बहुत आसान होता है। तो ऐसी सारी चीजें हम लेकर जाते हैं, लोगों से बात करते हैं, उनके पोस्टर्स है, उनके किताबें हैं। मैं तो मेरे बच्चों को भी पढ़ने के लिए देती हूँ, जैसे शब्दकोश है या ये उल्टी सुल्टी अम्मा वाला है। तो इससे बहुत आसानी से आप बच्चों के दिल में रास्ता निकाल सकते हो, महिलाओं के दिल में रास्ता निकाल सकते हो, आप पुरुषों तक पहुंच सकते हो। और सत्यमेव जयते का जो एपिसोड है उसमें कोरो ने भी मर्दानगी और इसके बारे में यारी दोस्ती सखी सहेली का जो काम किया था, तो उस वक्त हम काफी सारे यूथ को वहां पर लेकर गए थे। तो वो एपिसोड बहुत आसानी से लोगों तक पहुंचता है और जिसकी वजह से इतनी सरल भाषा, मतलब ऐसा लगता ही नहीं है कि वो कोई तो फेमिनिस्ट कमला दी, ऐसे ग्रेट ऑनर, ऐसे जो चीजें हैं ना, वो वहां पे पल्ले नहीं पड़ती, वो हमारी कमला दी होती है। और जब हम ग्रास रूट में ये लेकर जाते हैं तो बहुत आसानी से जाते हैं। आखिरी उनके गाने के जो शब्द हैं जो मुझे बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं, दरिया की कसम के अलावा, वो गाने की कोशिश करती हूँ और रुकती हूँ। तो तोड़ तोड़ के बंधनों को देखो बहने आती है, ओ देखो लोगो देखो बहने आती है, आएंगी वो तो जुल्म मिटा नया जमाना लाएगी, वो तो नया जमाना लाएगी। तारीकी को तोड़ेगी वो खामोशी को तोड़ेगी, हाँ मेरी बहनें खामोशी को तोड़ेगी, मोताजी और डर को मिलकर पीछे छोड़ेगी, हाँ मेरी बहनें डर को पीछे छोड़ेगी, निडर आजाद हो जाएगी, वो न सिसक सिसक कर रोएगी, वो न सिसक सिसक कर रोएगी। तोड़ तोड़ के बंधनों को देखो बहने आते हैं। ये जो गाना है, जब हम हिंसा के खिलाफ काम करते हैं, घरेलू हिंसा के खिलाफ जब हम काम करते हैं, तो ये अपने आप में महिलाओं को पावर देता है, अपने आप में महिलाओं को आगे आने के लिए करता है। तो बस उनको बहुत बुरा लगेगा अगर हम उनका जो प्यार है, उनकी जो मोहब्बत है, उनका जो जज्बा है, उनकी जो एनर्जी है, उसको अगर आगे लेकर ना जाए, तो हम बिल्कुल हमारी ओर से और यहाँ पे जितने भी लोग हैं सहमत है कि हम इस जज्बे को आगे लेकर जाएंगे। मोहब्बत भरी दुनिया कैसे तैयार हो, इसके लिए काम करेंगे। शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया मुमताज जी, आपने बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से आपकी संगठन का जिस तरह से काम और कमला दी से जुड़ाव है, you have really beautifully explained the rapport that CORO for Literacy program has had over the years with Kamla Di. Now I ask Sahiyar, Professor Deepali Ghelani, one of the founders of Sahiyar, to share the experiences, and they had also invited Kamla Di recently for the 1 billion rising program in Vadodara. So Deepali ji, are you there? Deepali ji, आप हैं? आपकी आवाज सुनाई। हेलो,
वो कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं।
हाँ हो गया।
हाँ अभी उनका माइक।
हाँ दीपाली जी बोलिए।
First of all, thank you very much for giving this opportunity to me and as a Sahiyar Sri Sangathan. And today there is lot of problem of network. I don't know how many times I have joined and has been left. As everybody has said, there is nothing much new to be said and so many to be said about Kamla Di. And when we talk about she and we don't sing a song, then it will not be fair. So first of all, my colleague will sing a song, and we are doing lot of things for education of the girls. So we have used this song, I can't remember how many times, and that's why I will ask my younger colleagues to have this song with you. The words are, मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है. Please.
पढ़ना है, क्यों पढ़ना है? पढ़ने को बेटे काफी है, तुम्हें क्यों पढ़ना है? जब पूछा ही है तो सुनो, मुझे क्यों पढ़ना है? क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है। क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है। पढ़ना है मुझे पढ़ना है। पढ़ने की मुझे जरूरत है, सो पढ़ना है। मुझ में भी ये तरुणाई है, सो पढ़ना है। सपनों ने ली अंगड़ाई है, सो पढ़ना है। कुछ करने की मन में आई है, सो पढ़ना है। क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है। पढ़ना है मुझे पढ़ना है। मुझे दर दर नहीं भटकना है, सो पढ़ना है। मुझे अपने डर से लड़ना है, सो पढ़ना है। मुझे अपने आप ही घड़ना है, सो पढ़ना है। क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है। पढ़ना है मुझे पढ़ना है। कई जोर जुल्म से बचना है, सो पढ़ना है। कई कानूनों को परखना है, सो पढ़ना है। मुझे नए धर्म को रचना है, सो पढ़ना है। मुझे सब कुछ ही तो बदलना है, सो पढ़ना है। क्यों पढ़ना है मुझे पढ़ना है हर ज्ञानी से बतियाना है सो पढ़ना है मीरा का गाना गाना है सो पढ़ना है अनपढ़ का नहीं जमाना है सो पढ़ना है क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है मुझे पढ़ना है क्योंकि मैं लड़की हूँ मुझे पढ़ना है.
Thank you. So, starting with song, when I have met Kamladi very few times, and we have sing her song so many times. When I have seen the feminism and Nari Mukti through the lens of Trupti Shah, founder member of Sahiyar Sangathan, and it is very sad for me to say that the very first time I got opportunity to have the whole day with Kamladi was on the memorial lecture of the Trupti Shah. So Trupti passed away in 16, and in 18 we invited Kamladi for her memorial lecture. She agreed to come, and when she came, the whole day our whole team was with her, and that was the great time for us. When we were sharing, she said, "Tell me, Deepali, when we had met before." I told it I don't remember exactly, but it was some training session where I was participating for training, and at that time it was a closed premises, and Kamladi was not a trainer or not a resource person. She just came from somewhere, and when she came, power failure was there. So somehow there was silent. It was very close premise, so everybody was not in a mood. So she said that if you are a trainer and if it happens, so what you will do? I said that I will tell a job. Then she said, yes, tell it. And where Kamladi is there and atmosphere is dull, is it possible? So the whole atmosphere was joyful and cheerful. That was her personality the first time I met her somewhere. So when we were discussing this, when she came to Baroda for Trupti Memorial Lecture, so she said that, I said that I didn't remember, but it was either Bombay or Delhi somewhere. Then laughingly she said in her own set, Delhi hoga, Bombay wale hame kahan bulate hain. So in a one sentence, she draw the picture of thin lines within the feminism, what we have also. So she was so sharp, and now the other way, my remembrance is that I was participating one training at Jagori Center, Siddhabari, Dharamsala. So at that time, Abaji was there and Kamlaji was somewhere outside. So because I have been there for 10 days, 8 to 10 days, so Abaji told so many things about Kamla. So again, I came to know she from the lenses of Abaji. And in the last meeting, also when Abaji said about the Kamla, that copyright is right to copy. Right. So we are practicing this from many years in Sahiyar. Right. Now what Lataji has said about that skit, आप घर में कचरा करते हो, साफ करते हो वाला. So in Gujarati, Trupti has done all material in Gujarati for us and our say beneficiaries. So we are using that street play for school say boys and girls. कि घरनु काम सौनु काम घर का काम सबका काम ऐसा करके. तो so many things from so many sides. So copy to write we have utilized and we are using it with our communities in many ways. Either it is street play or it is song or slogans or posters, everything. So when she was here, about 1 hour her lecture was there, and after that when for press say press notes and reporting, our group sat together. So everybody said that, my God, so many such a wide spectrum she has covered in her lecture. Then one of them said, what is new things he said? We were knowing all these things. Then we realized that It was not the new thing. The way she told the thing. So that was the power of delivery and the young audience. My God, today also they remember it so much that you gave us the opportunity to listen Kamlaji. So whatever she was speaking, that was why it was so powerful, because it came through the commitment of her for gender equality and justice. That was I have understood. Then after the program, we were somewhat embarrassing, and I asked that Kamladi, we have budget and we can give something to you. You please allow us. Then she said that, oh, so क्या तृप्ति तुम्हारी ही थी, हमारी कुछ नहीं थी. So that way she hugged us. Okay, we are all one. She denied, and out of her busy schedule, she, whatever the dates we have given, she has accepted it and she was with us. So that was the experience over here. And that most of the things what I wanted to share, it is always good that you are last or second last, that so many things are covered. All these songs we are using, and even the song which this Darya ki Kasam, Mojo ki Kasam, and to Khud ko badal, to Khud ko badal. This actually I realized after hearing all these webinars and about that this is of Kamla. We are utilizing it as if it is of ours. So that is the beauty of the popularity of her slogans and songs. And one, she has given the slogan at the end of the Trupti Memorial. Okay, the same slogan is now related to her. So Trupti also passed away by fighting against cancer. Kamladi also has the same story. And I will say that Kamladi Tumhe Salam, what she has told about the Trupti, I remember the three. Kamladi Tumhari Soch ko salam. Kamladi Tumhari Pratignaon ko salam. Kamladi Tumhare Jajbo ko salam. So it is our salute to you, your pledges, your passion, your envisagement, and your life. So that is all what I wanted to tell about Kamla.
Thank you, Deepali ji. Beautiful. All 8 of you have really brought in such a kaleidoscope of the understanding and the wisdom from Kamladi's life and actions. I would like to request Farida ji to recite the Bengali translation of Darya Ki Kasam. Yeah. Even 2 lines would be fine. And then later on you can share, because here in almost all cities we have a Bengali feminists, and in our organization there are Bengali. Yeah.
It was just a few lines. Darya Kasam, I kept the word Darya because that is also in Bangla. Darya Kasam, Dhewer Kasam, Tana Bana Badlabe, Tumi Nije Badlao, Tu Nije Badlao, Tu Shara Dunia Badlao. Tumi Nishchup Theke Shoibe Jato, Zulm Nirjaton, Bere Jabe. Rukhe Darao, Shakto Hue, Nirjatonकारी घबरा.
Please share this by email, huh?
Yeah, okay.
We will share with our members.
I just because when I was talking, I was thinking after listening to everybody, I have to share this.
Yeah, and I think we can also ask because in all these organizations, there are musicians who are supporting the organization. So it can be even, recorded.
No, Vibhuti, I just want to share one small incident with Kamla.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling that if I don't say that about her, I think few years back when I was in a conference in Delhi, I called up, it was my, always we did that. If I go to Delhi, I used to check with the Kamla if she's there. So I called her and she said, okay, Aja. So we fixed up a date and I went in the evening. And she was in her new house. And it was evening. I want to just tell this because we are all talking about this lively and, mood, the other mood. But when I was there, it was evening time. And there was one space that it was lit with some candles. And there was Mitu's photo and there. And Kamla was really standing there, like worshiping, or she was in a very meditating mood, and we stood there, and we also joined. And this is the first time I saw a different Kamla, and as if Vitu was there. And then after some time, she finished, and then she helped me, and then she took me to the other room where Chotu was there. And she introduced me to Chotu, and there was another Bangladeshi friend with me. She introduced to Chotu with all our, what we do in Bangladesh, how much, we are friends together. And the way she talked to Chotu, and I was inside, I was only crying, by seeing her with me too. But then we went to the other room to talk about the whole day, what we did. It was totally different, Kamla, laughing and talking and what we were doing, how's Kushi, all these things. So this is Kamla, this is very important. And another thing we did in Pune, when there was this nuclear bomb, by Pakistan, and we were all protesting, and Dr. Naila Khan and we all were there, and the way we were all on the road and making posters, and so these are the different things that I have been with Kamla, and that will remain with us.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Farida ji, for this. Very important that how sensitive she was and egalitarian she was with the fellow human beings. So now I would like to, there are veteran feminists, Flavia Agnes. She is also here. I think we worked together at the time of Kriti in 1982, a creative workshop. Flavia, would you like to share your experiences? Flavia, are you there? Hello? Flavia? Can you unmute and speak? We also have Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan, who had invited the College of Social Work, which invited Kamla this year on 3rd of January, Savitribai Phule oration she gave. Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan, can you share the experiences with the College of Social Work Mumbai had?
Ma'am, Flavia ma'am has joined.
Is she there?
Flavia ma'am.
Flavia is joined. Okay. Yes, Flavia, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Can we see you? Can we see you? Can you
not
put your
like
video on?
presentable.
Okay. Yeah.
I just joined in to hear all of you.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that yes, from 1982, 83, from Kriti days.
Yeah.
You and I had gone to Delhi together.
Yeah.
And it was such an energetic workshop.
Yeah.
I met all the Delhi group, Jaguri people, Shiba, Naba, Kamla, Gauri, all of them. And I was so inspired by that. And her songs, I mean, I don't need to say it again and again. Everybody has said have been such an inspiration for each of us at a very personal level. What Yadna shared that changed my life. It is true for almost each of us that it changed our lives. It energized us. It gave strength to our morchas. It gave strength to our gatherings. And her voice dominated not just India, but entire Southeast Asia. And each of us are so grateful to her being there. And I think it's good that we're celebrating her life. It is such a wonderful thing that we're celebrating her life today in different ways and giving an opportunity for a lot of people to speak. Particularly, I was very moved by the younger generation, like Edna, Mumtaz, Sahiyar, Deepali, all of them have said that how they have used it in the next generation and with younger children. And I think this is the way the legacy has to be carried on. And it's happening. And we can see the results. Mumtaz said or somebody else said, I found that very poignant that we kept on singing these songs, but we didn't know they were Kamla's songs. And that is the strength that about this whole copyright. Who wrote this didn't matter, but these songs were there and they became our own legacy and we could carry them forward. So I'm very grateful for the younger generation who has not known her personally, but have experienced her and found strength from her words, from her songs, and are moving on to pass it on to the next generation. So I'm very grateful to her, and thank you, Vibhuti, for giving me this opportunity to speak. I personally not worked with her because my area of work is very different, but I've seen that, and I've been like following the songs. I've been following all the trajectories, particularly of Sanvad and Jaguri rural, etc. And particularly in Gujarat. In fact, when I was involved in Nari Adalat, when the new project started by Abba and others, and I used to go there regularly to train them in informal litigation and showing them ways in which outside the court they could do this work. And for that also, Kamla and Abba were very much responsible for getting me involved in that and getting Madhis involved in that. And I think that there is a documentary on Nari Adalat which mentions our contribution to this project. So I'm very, very happy and very, very grateful. And what Shiva said about single women, I think the term for this was in Kriti. There was the first meeting of single women when many of us participated, and I have a picture of that meeting. And that meeting was very, very historical. And from there, the whole empowerment and involvement of single women in the movement has started. And I have personally contributed to this entire thing of being single. And in Madhis, we have a lot of women going through divorce, becoming single, etc. And we also have meetings of single women. I'm very happy to see that she has started this particular group for urban single women. And ours is also urban single women. And all these concepts started with Kamla's vision, Kamla's understanding of feminism. So it's wonderful to be part of this, and thank you, Vibhuti, for giving me a space to speak. Thank you.
Shirinappa, your message, what would you like to say? The participants here, all of them are actively involved in the women's rights movement currently, and there are 3 generations of women among the participants. What would you like to say on behalf of the South Asian feminists?
I think one of the things that I would like all of us to remember and continue to strive for is what Kamla always insisted, that we are South Asian first. And that's what we need to remember, that we are South Asian first. I think that will keep our connections going, and that's very important, that we remain connected and move together and struggle together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I have to go right now.
I understand. I read it in the chat box. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Now I would like to request Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan, College of Social Work. You had invited Kamla this year. So can you just share the experiences? Are you there, Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan? Is she? Are you there? Okay, so then I think I would ask one after another. I think Faridaji, what would you like to say? Your message for the participants.
I really, first of all, I thank IMPRI and you, Vibhuti. I have known you for such a long time, and it was really wonderful today to hear everybody. And I think the best part of your program was that you have woven the different generation of women and how they have known Kamla and different ways of knowing Kamla. So I think now Kamla has stopped, at one point. So all our knowledge about her has stopped, but our interpretation or our understanding of Kamla will remain in our own way, and we have to carry it on further. And like Simoy, you are saying, and the beautiful girls with Deepali and all the young girls, has inspired me so much. I think Kamla was very successful. I felt Kamla was very successful.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. What, Professor Jyoti, what would you like to say?
It's been very meaningful for me also to connect with so many more whom I'd heard about, but I hadn't seen talking in the last few memorials. And as everybody's saying, let us remain connected. Let us hold each other's hands and stay together, because it is because of Kamla and all of everybody we know each other and how we've connected. Let's keep this connection, and that will be most valuable for all of us. It'll be for each one of us and for all of us.
Yeah. Okay, now I think Shimoyji, your turn. Yes.
I would like to thank team IMPRI and Dr. Patel for being such a, I think, a gentle and yet such a fiercely beautiful moderator. I often have qualms with moderation. It's often overlooked, and the moderators are very underprepared, or they have no connection with the subject. Everything is done in such a slipshod manner. But I think Dr. Vibhuti ma'am and also the team at IMPRI, Arjun, you've done a great job. As I said, I can almost see Kay smiling, and her gamcha, and I could visualize it as each of these very special firebrand women spoke. I think I agree with, what Professor Jyoti just mentioned, that we must be in touch, whether or not our activism or our fields of work may be disparate. But I think at heart, we are South Asian women who are, believers in K's war cry of Azadi, freedom of thought, freedom of living, freedom of our choices, freedom from abuse, freedom to be proud of my body, freedom of our family histories and trajectories, however dark they might be. I think what I would kindly request the IMPRI team is, if you can, put in a mail connecting all of us speakers, and perhaps if the others are comfortable, we can share. I have already shared my mobile number and email ID, but if we can do this in a more concerted manner, so that, we have each other's numbers, we are talking to each other. I think that's what, Kay always used to tell me. Any problem, phone could be. Just pick up the phone, I mean, sometimes the issues with which I would reach out to her, not even related always to single women. Sometimes it was just my life journey. I wanted, Kay was like a mother, sometimes like like my mother, or, a well-wisher, a Didi, a friend, a philosopher. I think women need that. It's not always that we need each other for our work or to come for seminars or conferences. We are women of different age groups, different, geographical locations. Our histories are different. Together, we can be like this ball of fire, which Kay was, So I would like to, pay my respects to her once again. I was probably the only one who has never met her in, person. Like all of you are so privileged to have done. But I think her words, her work, and the dignity of her own life, which was so checkered, and which she wore like a, she wore it with so much of pride and happiness, I think that is going to be my mashal, my lantern, my light, So thank you so much, and please connect us on email. ये chat से सब email वगैरह बाहर करना थोड़ा difficult हो जाता है. So if you can, the IMPRI team, connect all of us with our email IDs. I'm happy to share my phone number. No problem. I have only one phone number. That's my WhatsApp number. Anything. Let's be in touch. Let's be in touch.
No, a very good feeling. I think today now we have known each other, and there'll be lifelong bonding. And now, Mumtaz, what would you like to say? Mumtaz, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे आखिर में?
बस ये की कहना चाहूंगी कि जितनी भी मूवमेंट्स हुए हैं उनमें जिन जिन महिलाओं ने योगदान दिया है, फिर कमला दी है, गेल जी है, अनीता जी है, सोनल बहन है, इन सभी ने अपने अपने लेवल पे बहुत काम करके रखा है. अब हमारी जिम्मेदारी है कि इस कारवा को हम कैसे आगे लेकर जाए, हम हमारा उसमें कैसे योगदान दे. और हाँ, बिल्कुल सभी का शुक्रिया, और मिलते रहेंगे और इस पूरी सफर में साथ रहेंगे. शुक्रिया.
यज्ञा जी, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगी? What would you like to say, Yagna, on behalf of Vacha? Yeah.
मैं भी वही कहना चाहूंगी कि हम ये जो कमला जी ने जो एक कारवा शुरू किया है वो हमारे वाचा की टीम के थ्रू तो पक्का, और बाद में जो हम लड़कियों के साथ काम करते हैं जो आगे जाके प्रोडक्टिव सिटीजन्स एंड आगे और एम्पावर्ड विमेन बनने वाली है, उनके ये सारे वैल्यूज और बिलीफ्स ये लड़कियों में किस तरह से चाहे उसके लिए अलग अलग तरीकों और जो भी रिसोर्सेस उन्होंने तैयार किए हैं वो बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे हम उसको इस्तेमाल कर पाए, उसको अलग अलग भाषा में ट्रांसलेट करके ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचाए, ताकि जो भी ये एक बिलीफ सिस्टम है वो एक जो इक्वालिटी की जो हम बात करते हैं वो लोगों के प्रैक्टिस में भी आए, रादर देन खाली नॉलेज के तौर पे ना रहे, उनके बर्ताव में भी दिखे। सो ये वाचा और एक काम में, हमारे पूरे काम में उनका जो भी प्रिंसिपल्स और बिलीफ है वो रहेंगे ही।
Yeah, it's very important, the theory and praxis, because feminism is both about, you have to have a clarity and vision about what you want to do and you have to practice it. Deepali ji, I would like to ask you, what is your message? Deepali ma'am, what would Sahiyar like to convey?
Yeah, actually, one thing I would like to tell that we are living in two worlds, as if, because I am working in university somewhere and I am also with the feminist people as a Sahiyar. Okay, so when I compare the things, those personalities are too much and so special to us, unique to us. But in mainstream, I will use that word, other than our feminist world, very less people know them. So we have to do something that sometimes what is happening, we are awareing those who are already aware. So every time we have to do something that we catch the audience which is outside this world, so that they will not
reaching out,
deprive of the opportunity to know this world.
Such person.
Trying at my level, but overall,
we need gender icons, and they all three were very important gender icons.
One thing, and second is that within our feminist world also, for example, my younger colleagues and our group, whenever now last 3 times Gail went passed away, then Sonal Ben, then so every time we have the meeting, we try to bring things into notice to young audience about them. So somewhere we are also lacking that this sometimes we have missed the person, after that we are doing something. So that type of some program in which we can have every month or say fortnightly.
With the study circles and study circles on of the right.
With our living legends.
Correct. They are the living. Yeah.
That's my suggestion.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Deepali Ben. Now, Lata, I would like to request you to recite your poem, Suraj Ko Taj, the ghazal which you had written, which I think captures the mood of today's discussion that we have had about, as you said, that living legends and also the legendary figures and gender icons like Kamla Bhasin and also Sonal Ben and Ghelani. Yeah. Please unmute yourself, Lata. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Vibhuti. Thank you, Arjun Kumar. Thank you, IMPRI. And I thank all these, like Farida Di is there, Jyoti ji is there, Deepali is there, Yagna and Mumtaz, and all these actually when they are talking about like new generation, and then they are talking about the breaking the borders and actually reaching to the people who are not convinced. तो मुझे लगा कि एक बहुत कुछ चीजें हैं जो कमला के लिए हमने की, जैसे बांग्ला में फरीदा जी ने गीत गाया, उस तरीके से मैंने मराठी में अभी, क्योंकि मैंने सोचा कि दरिया की कसम अभी तक मराठी में किया ही नहीं था, तो मैंने अभी किया है, वो पहले सुना दूं विभूति। समुद्राची तुला शपथ, लाटांची तुला शपथ, हे बदलेलं जग सारं तू जेव्हा तू सोडशील मौन, अगं जरा बोलून तर बघ, अगं जरा बोलून तर बघ। तो कुछ बोल, तू दरिया की कसम, मौजों की कसम है, तो समुद्राची तुला शपथ, लाटांची तुला शपथ, तो ये है। और विभूति अभी पूरा गाना तो तुम्हें मेरा गाना पूरा याद है, लेकिन मुझे मेरा पूरा गाना याद नहीं है। तो फिर हम जोड़ेंगे। लेकिन एक बात बता दूं कि आज जितने सारे लोग हम इकट्ठा हुए, या परसों जागोरी के भी, या और पूरे के पूरे सारे ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, और अभी जो फ्लेविया बता रही थी, तो अपने अलग अलग ताने बाने, सचमुच जो पुराने ताने बाने हैं टूट गए हैं और नए ताने बाने बने हैं। और ये नए ताने बाने बने हैं, इसलिए आज बात कर सकते हैं। आज जो बात कर रही थी अभी, तो जिस तरीके से मुझे लगा कि अरे, जब ज्योति बात कर रही थी तो मुझे ये लगा कि अरे, तृप्ति बेन अभी नहीं है, लेकिन तृप्ति की बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जो बताने जैसी है। तो अभी रजनी नहीं है, लेकिन रजनी की बेटी हमसे जुड़ी है, परसों वो बता रही थी। तो इस तरीके से अलग अलग दलित, बहुजन, आदिवासी, अल्पसंख्यक और अलग अलग प्रवाहों से
अनीता पगारे, जिसके लिए कमला जी ने,
हाँ, अनीता पगारे, ये सब लोग जो है, उनके साथ हम अगर देखते हैं तो आज हमारे साथ बहुत नई जनरेशन के बेटियां बेटे जुड़े हैं, और वो ये आगे एक लेगेसी लेकर जा भी रहे हैं। और इतना ही नहीं कि इनके बेटे बेटियों की बात ही नहीं, ट्रांसजेंडर, LGBTQ और अलग अलग जगह के बहुत सारे स्ट्रीम्स और प्रवाह आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, पर्यावरणवादी आंदोलन से जुड़े हैं, और मैंने उनके भी अनुभव सुने हैं। तो मुझे लगता है कि सचमुच ये समय है जिसका आपने जिक्र किया, वो गाना बताने का, सूरज को ताज पहनाने का, सोचा हमने तभी, रास्ता हमारा तय हो गया, टूटे मंजर भी है, लंबी चट्टाने भी, कारवां हमारा बढ़ता गया, शायद पीछे कोई साथी छूट जाए, रुककर हमें चलना भी है, मंजिलें टूटेंगी,
उंगलियां उठेगी शायद,
उंगलियां उठेंगी शायद, और
पत्थर भी मिलेंगे।
हाँ, पीछे कोई साथी छूट भी जाए, उंगलियां उठेंगी शायद, फिर भी हमें चलना है, फिर भी हमें चलना ही है। तो सूरज को ताज पहनाने का, तो हम सब लोग ऐसे हैं, उस कारवां में हैं, उस काफिले में हैं, जिन्होंने तय किया है कि हमको सूरज को ताज पहनाना है। और अभी मुझे याद है, जो सभी लोग हम जब संगत में या दक्षिण एशिया ग्रुप में मिलते हैं, तो सब लोग इकबाल बानो की ये गजल गाए बगैर नहीं रहते हैं कि ये हम देखेंगे, लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे,
लाजिम है कि हम भी देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे।
ये तख्त उछाले जाएंगे, ये तख्त गिराए जाएंगे, ये ताज उछाले जाएंगे, हम देखेंगे, हम देखेंगे। तो ये सबके मन में जो मंशा है, जिस तरीके की सत्ता है, फिर पितृ सत्ता हो, जाति सत्ता हो, धर्म सत्ता हो, किसी भी तरह की सत्ता हो, वर्ग सत्ता हो, कॉर्पोरेट की सत्ता हो, या फिर इंपेरियलिज्म, साम्राज्यवाद हो, इन सबको पीछे हटाने के लिए हम लोग बिल्कुल बरकरार, कटिबद्ध, प्रतिबद्ध रहेंगे। और यही शायद अकेले रहेंगे, जो श्रीमोई ने बात की कि एकला चलो रे, कमला को बहुत पसंद था, तो हम सबको पसंद है। हम बहुत सारी महिलाएं एकल महिलाएं हैं, और मैं आपको जाते जाते बता दूं, विभूति, फ्लेविया, सबको, मुमताज को भी, सभी लोगों को, यज्ञा को भी, कि मैंने अभी सिंगल पेरेंट्स चिल्ड्रन का ग्रुप शुरू किया है, जिसमें सबसे ज्यादा सिंगल वीमेन और बच्चे मेरे से बात करते हैं, और उनके काउंसलिंग की जिम्मेवारी मैंने ली है। तो इस तरीके से बहुत अलग तरीके के काम में भी हम लोग सब जुड़े हुए हैं। तो बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ, वेरी थैंकफुल टू ऑल ऑफ यू। एंड श्रीमोई, यू हैव सेवरल, ऑल ऑफ दिस पीपल, लाइक ज्योति जी से, तो विभूति है, मुमताज है, हम सबके घर, दिल, फरीदा जी, सबके दिल और घर बड़े हैं, और आप वर्चुअली नहीं, हमारे सबके घरों में आ सकती है। बम्बई का भले ही अनुभव अलग होगा कमला को, लेकिन कमला को हम बता दें कि हम दिल्ली में जाते थे, तो हम बम्बई वाले दिल वाले भी है, तो जरूर उसने आना चाहिए। हमारे घर भले ही छोटे हो, लेकिन सचमुच दिल बड़े हैं, और हमारे आंगन तो बहुत ही बड़े हैं, और हम रास्ते पर भी आकर नाचते हैं और मोर्चे निकालते हैं। तो बहुत बहुत दीपाली, आपको ये खास तौर पे संदेश है कि आपने ये सब लोगों को बताना चाहिए। तो सखी सहेरी, हम सचमुच कमला, मुझे बहुत लग रहा है कि गेल के जाने के बाद, सोनल के जाने के बाद, कमला के जाने के बाद, विमेंस मूवमेंट ने और भी एक मिसाल दी है कि यू शुड सेलिब्रेट दैट पर्सन। because they have done so much work. You should not only worry, you should not only cry, you should not be only in pain, but whatever you have gained, you should give to the people. And that actually we should give to the people. We are just come here to just distribute, to give, and that is what our strength is. We all are from the women's movement. Thank you.
Such a beautiful
Vibhuti,
sentiments all of you have.
Vibhuti,
Yeah.
Geeta Balakrishnan joins. Please ask her.
Yeah. Okay, Geeta Balakrishnan. Dr. Geeta Balakrishnan, please unmute and speak. Yeah. Hello.
She's there. Just now.
Yeah. Please. Please unmute and speak. Yeah. We can see your name, but you should unmute and speak. Geeta ji. Hello, Dr. Balakrishnan. Can you unmute and speak? We are not getting her. Okay. Hello. So can we wind up now?
Yes, ma'am. Your concluding remarks. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what has emerged in today's discussion and all the 8 panelists and Flavia's statement that Kamla had a Satrangi sensitivity. She lifted spirit of everyone who came in touch with her. She was an altruist to the core. She contained her sorrow in her life and tried to alleviate pain of other people who are around her. On the 3rd October, Jagori organized this beautiful online meeting to celebrate Kamla's life. And it was an affirmative occasion, like today's. Today's is also, it's an affirmative occasion in which close friends, co-travelers in her life's journey, they shared their experiences and that their fascinating personal vignettes, and also how her feminist friends from Nepal, Pakistan, Germany, Turkey, USA, they found Kamla a powerhouse of universal love. They averred that Kamla, we miss you, but we won't let you die. I think that happened. This transpired 3 days back. And today also the same sentiment has emerged. That person like me, who was not part of Kamla's inner or intimate circle, but I have always felt affinity with her. Kamla has left a long-lasting legacy of self-discipline, power of love, value of nurturing relationship. Kamla lives with us through her verses and slogans, songs and stories, publications and videos, boosting our morale to strive for social transformation, for gender equity, equality, and human rights for everybody. Women's movement in India has lost 3 veterans and visionary feminists within 1 month from 25th August to 25th September. Gail Omwit, Sonal Shukla, and Kamla Bhasin. They must be conversing with each other in the other world. But here also, we have to keep our conversations on about their contribution and about how to build the solidarity and sisterhood among women. And now all of us, as Dr. Farida ji and also Chirin ji told us, that we all are South Asians. We have a very strong historical, geopolitical, and the feminist legacy, which we have to nurture and foster sisterhood among women of all the South Asian countries. Women's movement in India will miss them, but at the same time, we also have, they have left a repository of knowledge sources and that we will be using continuously. And in sisterhood and solidarity with all fellow feminists of all the organizations with which these 3 women were associated, we also want to convey that we are with you and we will always be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. So this has been so enriching, and on behalf of IMPRI Gender Impact Studies Center, I must say that we have been privileged to have hosted this meeting, and I would like to thank each one of you, dear panelists, for your presence, for your contribution to celebrate the life of legendary Kamla Bhasin. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Shri Moi Kundu, Mumtaz Shaikh, Dr. Lata Pratibha Madhukar, Professor Deepali Ghelani, Yagna Parmar, Professor Jyoti Seth, Farida Akhtar, Shireen P. Haq, and most of all, our dearest Professor Vibhuti Patel. Thank you so much. It has been so wonderful listening to all of you. We have been inspired and we have been touched. And I would also like to add that we will be very delighted to join you in all your efforts in facilitating the next steps that you'd like to take in celebrating and living the life of Kamla Bhasin. So thank you so much. We are indebted. Thank you. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you so much.
To everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.